And now, the moment you all have been waiting for. It's time for the Rad N Bad Podcast by Hickory Learning Group. Here are your hosts, Mike Carrero and Sean Yocum.
Well, it's happening.
It's officially happening.
It's officially happening. Look, the dogs are already barking. Who let the dogs out? Unbelievable. Here we are. There's Mike. Here I am. I'm Sean. Drum roll, please. The Rad N Bad Podcast by Hickory Learning Group. That's what we're about. So I'm Sean. We're basically going to be pushing the boundaries, I think. Right, Mike? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're going to take a transparent, open book style approach to everything. You guys have questions, we'll have some answers for you. I can't promise it'll be an answer you want to hear, but I promise it'll be an honest answer based off of our experience and how we feel about the topic.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. I mean, I think the reason we wanted to start this podcast and this video, I guess whatever you call it, video stream, I don't even know that.
I think it's considered a vlog at this point.
Vlog,
we're not traveling, but
whatever we want to call it. It was mostly just to, I guess, really push the boundaries and have open and honest dialogue around the field in general, and just really, really talk to different experts in the field, how we feel about certain topics, and just kind of do something out of the norm. I guess that's the best way to put it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think one of the things that we've seen kind of historically in our field is it's very cornerstone into one specific niche of what people think ABA is. I mean, if you took a poll on Facebook and said, what is ABA? I'd be willing to bet at least $5 and a cup of coffee that someone's going to say it's autism.
What's nuts is I think the cup of coffee might be more than the $5.
I think so too.
So, and I want that to actually be, and me and Mike right here, sorry for my improper language, but myself and Mike, or Mike and I, however you want to do it, huge coffee aficionados.
I have an espresso machine and it gives me life every morning. It's wonderful.
I think that needs to be a part of this. I think we'll do like a coffee review, like outside of just ABA stuff. I mean, do a coffee review.
Our general slogan at this point in time has to just be more than just ABA. And what we really mean by that is more than just autism, because that's everyone's purview. When I tell them I do applied behavior analysis, if they know about it, which if you don't know about it, we'll get into that here as well. But our goal is to change what people think about ABA, because everyone thinks a clinical mentality that is kids with autism.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think the whole purpose of starting this is to just showcase that you can use ABA in all avenues of life. And we're going to touch on that because this first episode is really just about, I mean, I already kind of know Mike, kind of. Mike,
5 minutes.
And Mike kind of knows me, but I think it's more just really, really diving in together and just like figuring out where we came from, introducing ourselves to you guys out there as the audience about what we're about, and then kind of just going from there. So let's start with this. What is your name? Okay. What is your name? And then on top of that, what is your degree and your certification?
Kudos to Sean. He can officially read a loose talking script. So my name is Michael Carrero. I typically go by Mike because it's just shorter and a little bit of ADHD. I have a undergraduate degree in psychology and Spanish and a master's in applied behavior analysis. I'm a BCBA and LBA, so board certified behavior analyst and licensed behavior analyst in the state of North Carolina. I have been in the field for about 15 years across all areas, settings, roles. But my passion lies in just working with individuals on becoming the best versions of themselves, whether it's for themselves or the communities that they serve and or live in.
I mean, that's solid. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to beat that. I don't know how I'm going to beat that.
I think your why is a lot more home style than mine. I fell into it by accident because guidance counselor took a chance and was like, do you want to be a camp counselor? And I said, I've never been to camp before. I got there and they said, you're in that corner over there. And I had no idea what I was doing, but very quickly fell in love with helping people learn what we kind of take for granted, from tying our shoes to just being around people and waiting and taking turns. And I watched the kiddo blossom, and that's where I knew I wanted to help people.
You just were like, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
That was it after that. It's like the heavens have opened up. This is what I need to do. I love that.
It fills my cup thoroughly.
That's good. So I'm Sean. Sean Yocum. I am also a board certified behavior analyst. I'm also a licensed behavior analyst in the state of North Carolina. Kudos, North Carolina. We got licensure, finally. Went to school at Capella University. Got my undergrad in psychology. And then after the psychology degree, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go back and get my master's. Went to, Arizona State. I had to think for a second. Arizona State.
It's been a little while.
It's been a while. I was a COVID grad student. So going back to school during COVID, that was cool. That was fun. Doing learning during COVID, whole world shut down, and you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna go get a grad degree.
See, kudos to you. I was finishing up my degree, and again, I'm a service member, so I'm still an Army reservist. That's an improper salute. We'll go over that later on, but it's okay.
Show me now. What's the salute?
You're wearing a hat, so you place the tip of your forefinger on the rim of the visor, and it should be right at the edge of where your eye meets the brow. So like right there. Yep. Then you can't the hand down so that neither the back of the palm nor the hand is clearly exposed from the front, and that thumb you're gonna bring it up to the side so it's not visible.
This is shaping at it. This is shaping at its finest.
The elbow is parallel to the marching surface, so it's gonna be parallel to the ground.
I'm lost.
Nope, you're good. You're right there. So then you're going to slightly incline it upwards to like raise your chest just a little bit. And boom, that's it. Now when you lower it, all you're going to do is bring it straight down to the side as if you were just resuming like walking. Cool. Now you're good. That is honestly a really good salute for ever having been done it before. In being a drill sergeant and like teaching people how to do this, like there's a whole script, and there's one day I'll probably end up doing the whole thing where it's like the next position, which I will name, explain, have demonstrated, and which you will conduct practical work on. It's a whole thing. But we teach people doing the exact same thing, and that's why we are way more than just applicable ABA to kids.
I mean, that was a solid TA on how to give a proper salute. I now feel, now the question is, can I maintain it?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, the other thing that's super cool about, again, outside of just an individualistic or autism-based ABA approach, I'll show you the script that we have to like memorize in order to pitch it, because we have to do this in front of 240 trainees, right? Our goal is to transition a civilian into a service member.
Yeah.
And it literally breaks it down full TA style of, all right, cool. Starting with the next movement I will name, explain, and have demonstrated, all the way into how to get out of it and move on with the day.
Wow.
And it gives you step by step of how to do every position, every movement, and like it gets very robotic at times.
Yeah.
But that's the stepping point. Much like when we talk about programming, right? Or generalized assessments.
Okay.
Right? You take an assessment and like, what's the last assessment that you liked to do?
Oh man.
Or did?
Last one I did was an AFLS.
Okay, so you take AFLS, right? AFLS says you should be able to do all of these skill sets, right? We're talking about functional living skills. Cool. Well, as you know, and I know, this is just a reference point in a starting guide, right? You're going to take this standard assessment and say, this is how I'm going to use this information, but I'm going to tailor it to an individual. So I'm not going to speak like that to a trainee, right? When we start in a very similar manner. So in front of all 240 trainees, it's the next movement, which I'll name, explain, and the whole pitch, right? Then when I'm with my specific group of people and walking them through it, I speak to them like they're people. And it's an important skill because I'm taking this big page of information and I say, all right, cool, Sean, this is what I need you to do. Take your hand, bring it up here, and I move you doing very similar BST strategies until you get it right.
Oh man,
it's very, very
I literally was just about to say, it's not like the Army uses any behavior analytic principles
It's crazy
to do anything. Not at all. No,
it's such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity because, again, I'm very passionate about teaching, but in every other way possible. There's so much more than just skill acquisition targets.
Yeah. I mean, relatable, but not relatable because I don't know how travel baseball relates to like being in the army. It's like two totally different things, but
They're both hurting cats.
Yeah, yes, yes, it is. But honestly, it's same thing. Like when you're teaching a sport, especially to 8-year-olds who have the attention span of like ants, and like basically like if a fly goes by or if like there's a bug on the ground, they just chase it. But for the most part, it's the same thing. It's like breaking down individual behaviors, like fielding a ground ball, for example, like the proper technique on how to do it and starting slow. So like start with just no ball, no glove, break that down. Okay, they have that movement down. Now introduce the glove, go from the glove over to, go from the glove over to now we got a ball on a glove. And now, okay, now we're actually hitting it off the bat.
And I'll tell you my personal experience because I played baseball, but I could field like no other. I was a third baseman, so I was really just.
We need you. Can we forge your birth certificate?
I mean,
I'll turn you into an 8-year-old.
I know 8-year-olds nowadays might have some facial hair, but I don't think they have as good of a mustache. But hey,
I wish. Look right in there. Look in the camera. I mean, for podcast,
bad, right?
Podcast people, you're not going to be able to see this, but on the video, you'll be able to see Mike's mustache. It's pretty good.
But like, I could field like no other. You know what I couldn't do?
Hit baseball.
Couldn't do it. I could lay a bunt.
Okay.
I could sacrifice myself like no other. Ding, right down the third base line and get out.
All right.
We're good.
So did you, I forgot who it was. They did a survey on it and they rated that hitting a fastball is actually one of the hardest things to do.
It's in like a quarter of a blink of an eye. It's ridiculous.
I don't know how my son does it. So my son plays and he just has incredible hand-eye coordination and just drives the ball.
Nope, I always dropped my head or dropped something, and I was like, "Oh, it goes in the direction." And nope,
that was the same with me. So like, same thing with baseball. Tremendous center fielder. Put me out the bat. Couldn't hit the ball. Could lay down a bunt. Could steal bases, but that was it. So yeah. So travel baseball. I mean, I can relate to concepts of teaching skills. It's very similar, I guess, to what you experienced in the Army. Yeah. But that's funny because it basically is both like herding cows. It's the same thing.
I mean, the thing that I love about our field in general is it's so applicable to literally everything, right? We all know about the dead man test. Dead man can't do it. It's not considered behavior, right? That's the approach that I feel like sometimes we often miss, and we take our core set of skills that we work so hard to do, and we can only use them in one setting. We lack our own generalization.
That's the worst thing ever.
We talked about this the other day, right? As you guys heard at the beginning, my dog started barking in the background because we struggle with new people. And guess what? I have the tools, power, and equipment to change that, and I'm still working on it. But then you look at my other dog, and she is fantastic. But we oftentimes forget that, hey, we have behavior and analytic principles that we can do for everything, right? When I coach CrossFit, I do the same thing. All those movements are wonderful task analysis.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm nodding and we go right into it. And my favorite one is when I'm in class and I'm teaching, the amount of students that we talk about all of these same principles.
Nobody knows Mike teaches at Purdue. So, yes.
Hello.
Purdue adjunct right now.
But that's the crazy part is there's such, and this is one of the things that I love about what we're about to do, is we're going to clarify a lot of the potential misconceptions that you guys come in contact with. We were doing a seminar on just talking about preference assessments and their uses, right? Well, what's the step past a preference assessment? A reinforcer assessment. And our minds were blown in class because we had a very weird conversation that doesn't seemingly need to be weird. Because there's a difference between a preference and a reinforcer, but those terms get thrown around all the time.
Oh, yeah. Like just the common knowledge of like, oh yeah, I reinforced that behavior with a reinforcer. I was like, oh, that's great. You did an assessment to identify that actual preferred item actually increases behavior. And they're like, what? And I'm like, it's
not that simple.
It's not as there's more detail that you got to get into. More detail that you got to get into with that. So.
And then we wonder the next day where it's like, oh, grab Johnny's reinforcer. I love Johnny, Timmy, Bobby, and Susie. You'll hear those people come up regularly.
So that's Mike's. We're gonna put Mike on a DRL for that. Like using that terminology, mine's gonna be fantastic because I use the word fantastic a lot. So,
but we do those things so often where it's like grab them a reinforcer and then no behavior changes. And then we wonder, why are they not transitioning? Because that means nothing to them. They enjoyed it, they'll tolerate it, but it's not going to increase the likelihood of that behavior happening.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, like, I can't wait to get into some of the stuff we're going to talk about just on this show in general, just because there's a lot of different avenues for ABA just outside of just autism specific SIGs or whatnot, if you want to call it that. But we're not going to be afraid to push the envelope on some controversial topics. Yeah. We're not going to be afraid to speak our mind on how we feel. We're going to encourage certain guests to come on and talk to us. We're going to encourage healthy debate. We might bring on 2 guests at a time, and when those 2 guests come on, we might take a back seat and just let those 2 experts duke it out.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about adding and providing an additional service to our field, right? Being able to have a transparent conversation, because you don't have to agree with what I say, but we should be able to have a professional discussion about the differences, right? I mean, you and I know firsthand that we thoroughly appreciate the fact that empowering parents and focusing on a parent training model has been tremendously beneficial for us and our families.
That's our why, Mike. I feel like that's our why.
That's 100% why. I mean, if we can empower families, we strengthen the community and we decrease the need for us, because the goal is to give the family the skills that they need so we can continue to help families. Because as you know, there's a provider shortage. I mean, nationally, I'd say worldwide, there's a provider shortage, but that's partially because we're probably doing it, maybe, I wouldn't say wrong, but a little bit inefficiently.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do ABA, like just from direct care model, parent training model, whatever it is. What bothers me is we're such a data-based field, and we're so into analyzing numbers and looking at numbers. And one thing that bothers me is, like, when you actually break down the percentage of time that an individual might spend in direct ABA versus the amount of time that they actually spend with their parents, caregivers, whoever it is. Your dog agrees with me.
She does. She really does.
She definitely agrees with me at this point. But when you actually break it down, around 45 to 50% of the time, even higher than 50% of the time, depending on the amount of hours of direct care they're getting, they're spending more time with families and caregivers. And if you look at even including the school district, if a kid is going to school, they're spending more time there than they are in direct ABA therapy. So I never understood, why are we investing all our resources into direct care and not really looking at the resources of supporting families and giving them the skills so eventually, like, we can be replaced as providers. Yeah. And until that happens, I mean, I'm going to keep talking until I'm blue in the face about it, because the math just doesn't math.
Yeah. I mean, look at it. There's a very, I wouldn't say easy way, because we have to shift a lot of mindsets, right? But it's a very clear pathway. If you want to take care of people and give them the skills that they need, the goal should always be to fade out of services. And that starts with teaching parents what to do when these things happen. Because there's no wrong answer, right? They've got a core set of skills. All we want to do is add to that set of skills and empower them to make more informed decisions. But to your point about data-driven field, we absolutely are a data-driven field. I would, however, argue, and this might be hot take number 1, that we don't utilize the data that we take effectively or efficiently.
I agree with that.
I don't mean that individually, right? They're just like a regular doctor's office. There's outstanding providers that are doing all of the research, staying up to date, and being outstanding. And then there's not so great doctors that, hey, we make a change because we want to do a provider change, right? I think it's the same thing. I think part of it, and I think a big part of it, is mentorship, right? Your supervision and experience was very similar to mine. Mine had a crawl, walk, run phase where I was empowered to be a provider from day one, and they held my hand through it and said, hey, you've got a better skill set now. I'm going to start letting go. And by the end of it, it was, you are successful, I trust you, and you are competent in this, and always ready to catch me if I fell, if I was going to make a decision that was potentially risky, right? It was never a, you can't do that, I don't trust you. It was a, hey, have you thought about it in this lens? And I go, no, I haven't. Or, yes, I have, and here's why. And I think that experience, for me personally, allows me to make better informed decisions, because I've had years of building that confidence with people that want to show me what to do.
See, that's a great talking point. I can't wait to when we start going more in depth with all these topics. Mm-hmm. We touched on a few things. And we touched on like, okay, parent caregiver model. We touched on just now, like supervision and actually putting more resources into effective supervision. Mm-hmm. The other thing that me and you both agree on too, and we've talked about this in great length, is actually telehealth supervision and how telehealth can be leveraged appropriately and ethically. Because we're both for telehealth if it's done the correct way, but not according to what we're seeing with like current trends of how telehealth is used. I mean, I've used it. I've done poster presentations on it with like combinations of just like, here's parent caregiver training because we couldn't find a direct care worker. I also lived an hour and a half away. Right. So we're using telehealth to actually use like a multiple schedule to like get some stimulus control and stereotypy with a grandmother doing it of all things and seeing success with it and saying, oh, wow, telehealth is actually a good avenue when it's done correctly.
Well, that's that's highlighted in CASP. If you look at the like breakdown, it specifically lays out kind of why you use telehealth. And again, hot take, again, you got your degree during COVID and we all had a different experience during COVID, right? COVID kind of really ruined that aspect of things. I mean, it bloomed telehealth, and don't get me wrong, I'm super appreciative of it because it got us back to being able to do something. Families were desperate. They needed support, and they said, I will take whatever you can get because I'm drowning. And we said, here's a buoy. We're coming to save you, right? And then instead of being a temporary solution, it became the permanent solution. And unlike those instances of rural North Carolina that has 2 providers and they can't get to you because you live on top of a mountain and there's no internet, no something, right? Okay, that's a telehealth appropriate thing. Let's figure out how to get you services, because shy of driving 3 hours and bringing my own staff and doing that and, building the infrastructure, that's the best we have right now. But that's not the best. That's our current best, which means we have to do more to get people to those areas to say telehealth was super effective for starting, but we're going to start pulling it back unless absolutely necessary.
I totally agree with everything you just said with that, because I think it can be utilized in areas of the country where, like you said, families are drowning and need the support. And that's how it should be utilized if you can't find the correct support staff. You hit the nail on the head too with like, I went to school at a time when my supervision was mostly providing telehealth support to families. And that's kind of how I developed that skill set. But I think what anybody that's come out and gotten their degree or in supervision from that COVID era, and even we'll look now, I don't think they were effectively supervised.
I don't think it was entirely their fault or their supervisor's fault. I think it was the setting that they were in. You did the best you could with the tools and resources that you could, but like we're seeing now, no one's following up on those skills. And I would say one of the issues with telehealth has become almost fetishized, right? Where it's like, hey, I want this luxurious opportunity to sit behind a screen and not do a lot of the things. And I think that's because organizationally we empower that, as opposed to, I've met some fantastic telehealth BCBAs that run outstanding BST. They communicate exceptionally well with the providers on the ground, and they support the techs through the screen, and it feels like an in-person experience. Yep. I think that's the big key factor there is there's telehealth and then there's babysitting through a screen. And telehealth is a standard that you can work together with. If I was in a telehealth mode, you can support me by doing all of the things that I'm asking in addition. But it should never come as a replacement, and it should never come as a inconvenience to you. Because if I'm taking away you as a provider from your individuals, now I'm impacting too many people. Yeah. And so I think there's a balance that has to be provided and supported.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is sold with the work-life balance movement, like with what COVID taught me anyway. Like I was like, oh, wow, I'm really overworking, and wow, I can actually do part of my job via telehealth, which is kind of cool. But I agree with you. It shouldn't be just yep, they're only doing telehealth.
Mhm.
That's it. And also assessing, using like risk benefit analysis of like what portion of the population should you not be doing telehealth for.
Absolutely. That's appropriate.
And that's
individual for it.
that's where I have the issue is like, if you're doing telehealth supervision for, an RBT where a kid's engaging in like severe aggression, SIB, and property destruction, I would think that that's not appropriate. But we'll touch on that in later podcasts and whatnot. But I think this was a good intro. Is there anything you want to share about you just as a person outside of just being a BCBA? Because I feel like people would love to get to know us in general, just about like what our passions are outside of the field.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll give you you guys my general elevator pitch, for lack of a better word. So I'm a BCBA. I am a service member in the Army. I'm a CrossFit coach. I work with dogs, and I also teach. I think the core of me as an individual is just teaching, coaching, and mentoring people to be better versions of themselves. Outside of like I would say work environment, but I love all of those things. I'm super passionate about just being outside and around people. I love to engage in some level of communication and learn from people. So different hobbies, different anything. I just want to hear it. And I mean, I can have fun in a paper bag and talk to a wall. So really, really just looking to hear from everyone and talk about what they want to know more about. Because you guys are the reason that we do things like this, because we want to expand past just our conversation and knowledge, right? Just like we're being able to provide information to you guys, we want to learn from you guys as well, because that's how we continue to grow and develop.
That's solid. I just thought you just lived like in your office and you always just live, breathe, and preach ABA. But I'm glad you do other things.
I mean, well, as we talked about, ABA is life. So,
yeah.
But no, outside of that, I play a bunch of different video games. I build computers. We are both exceptionally covered in tattoos. Definitely looking to get more.
Oh yeah, I got the next one planned.
Love being around people and sharing stories.
Sounds good. I mean, well, trying to think, what do I like to do outside of just, I don't know, be on LinkedIn and just like, just create posts and like, and repost stuff and, all that fun stuff. I mean, I like building stuff. I guess that was why I started Hickory Learning Group. It was just like, I like building stuff from the ground up. I like seeing like the beginning of a project and getting it to the end of a project. I was a musician for a long time. I still am.
Tell that story.
I still am a musician, but like before I got into this, like from the time I was, 3, I was playing music, but from 13 until about, I guess last year, I was always playing music, whether it was out live in the bar scene, whether it was original music. I was in an original band for a long time, toured the country, signed an indie label, played some festivals.
We're going to have to give you guys a snippet of them.
It was cool. Yeah, I was in a really cool band called Lady Radiator. That band was awesome. Shout out Adam, Jono, Kenny. They're still doing their thing in the arts, living their best life. But that was a fun experience. Met some cool musicians doing that, playing bass. I think I developed a lot of my navigational ability just because I was always the one that was driving all the time. And this was before like iPhones. So like
you were like a live action version of Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Machine?
Basically,
just going around the country?
Just we didn't have the Scooby snacks and we didn't have the dog. It was just four dudes in a van, and it really smelled bad and it was terrible. But it was a lot of fun because we got to, I guess, hone a set of skills. Like I learned how to budget money because I had a certain amount of money that I had to live off of. And I learned how to be kind of savvy and talk to people because you had to,
build those interpersonal skills
and sell your merchandise. And, it was the navigation thing that I was talking about with the iPhone was, there was no like GPS back in like the early 2000s when I was doing
I remember helping my parents with the little atlas in the back of the thing. Like, you're going to go, I think, right here.
So that's basically like we would print out directions on MapQuest. And like, if we made a wrong turn, good luck, figure out where you are on that map and try to get back where you are.
Where am I with the
it was nuts. We would drive from like Miami, Florida, like to Michigan, and it'd be like, all right, whoever planned the tour, terrible job. But it went from like drive from Miami and you got 48 hours to get from Miami to Michigan to go play a show. And it was just,
That sounds horrendous.
Starbucks Frappuccinos, energy shots, you name it, just to get there. And it was a lot of fun. But yeah, doing that.
Complete chaos. I love that for you.
Complete chaos. Now the passion is coaching travel baseball. So I have a great opportunity. I work with these two dudes, Dustin and Ian, over at a 5-Star Heat in Newton. It's a travel organization, so I get to coach the 8U baseball team there. So that's a lot of fun. Baseball was a big part of my life growing up too. So I get to see my son and spend time with him, which is nice. So I got a nice little work-life balance, because when I'm not doing this, which is something I'm passionate about, I'm usually either spending time with my wife, Danielle. Hey, Danielle, shout out to you. Either hanging out with her, or I'm doing something with my son, and just getting to coach him with something he loves to do is really awesome. When I'm not doing that, Mike, I am building epic marble runs with my son.
I have seen they are some of the most intricate, lengthy processes.
We are on a mission. We built one from the top of our stairs on the second floor all the way down the staircase, then used a Hot Wheels track. He actually designed it. I just was there for, emotional support. Yeah, moral support.
And pick up the marbles if they fall.
And basically, if it failed, it was my fault. But basically getting it to the point where it then landed on a Hot Wheels track, and then it went across the house to an elevator, and then it went up the elevator and then down. It was literally taking 8 to 9 minutes for a marble to get down this run. It was
so we have the next architectural engineer of the millennium. He's gonna do something crazy.
I'm actually praying for baseball. I hope he becomes a pitcher and makes multiple millions of dollars, so I don't got work anymore, and I can just do this for fun. But no, that's basically my life. And then I got a dog as well. I spend time with him. He's a good guy. I got a brother with autism, so that's kind of how I got into the field and why I do what I do. Trying to think if there's anything outside of maybe a coffee. Big coffee drinker. If you couldn't tell by how hyper we are, we love our coffee. But no, I think this is going to be a good adventure. I can't wait. There's a little snippet of what we're going to do, but we're looking to just push the envelope, do something a little different, and just keep it rad and bad.
Amen.
Yeah, basically what we're going to do. So I'm looking forward to it. You got anything else to say, Mike?
Outside of, if you're looking to give us some feedback, because we live in a field of feedback, and we'll have a whole separate episode on that one. Please follow us on LinkedIn and give us some topic ideas, because we want to hear from you guys and things that you guys want to know more about or just generally passionate about. And then for following us elsewhere, we're looking at Apple, YouTube, and Spotify for both CEUs and just generalized content. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we look forward to hearing more from you guys.
That's it. Just check us out. Rad and Bad. Can't wait. Take care, guys.